Hi everyone and welcome to Murder UK with me, Vanessa. Today sees us visit an absolutely beautiful churchyard in Alton, just outside of Staffordshire. And we're here today to visit the grave of a 61-year-old severely disabled gentleman who was so cruelly taken advantage of. This is the story of Gregory Baker.
Mr. Gregory Baker lived in a quaint little village called Alton, in a beautiful cottage surrounded by stunning countryside views, which is also noted for the theme park resort, Alton Towers. Gregory was a 61-year-old maths tutor who was a dear friend and well respected in the village. He often would help the local children by giving them private tuition lessons. Gregory was severely disabled after contracting polio as a child. He shared his house with his mother until her death, which resulted in Gregory requiring care on a daily basis. He decided to employ a private care company who would offer the help he needed on a day-to-day basis. This is when he met a young 44-year-old mother of three, Thelma Yvonne Purchase, but was known as Yvonne by family and friends. Gregory enjoyed Yvonne's company and he immediately took to her. They would chat for hours about all kinds of things. The other carers didn't like how Yvonne conducted herself around Gregory, and on one occasion caught Yvonne sitting on Gregory's knee, giving him kisses and cuddles. Yvonne remained adamant that their relationship was like a father and daughter bond, but there was a strong belief from others that this was not the case. The carers didn't believe her, but didn't want to upset Gregory, so nothing was ever said. In 2007, Yvonne stopped working for the care company, but still visited Gregory, and he would often ask her to marry him. He thought the world of her and considered her as a dear friend, resulting in him buying her gifts and even books for her children. On one occasion, Gregory gave Yvonne £1,500 to buy a blue Citroen Saxo because her old car was unreliable. This was the type of person Gregory was, a loving, sweet man who always enjoyed helping others. His generosity would even stretch to giving Yvonne a £50 allowance each week. Yvonne Purchase was a woman who was described as having a taste for money. She always wanted the finer things in life. In 2007, Gregory made Yvonne one of the major beneficiaries of his will. After his mother's death, Gregory raised money on their home by selling a 60% share of it to a housing association. His 40% share was worth around £74,000, and she would have been set to receive 80% of his whole estate. Yvonne was overjoyed with this. She needed a way to get her hands on his money, and fast. Gregory may have been disabled, but he wasn't in ill health, and being the greedy woman she was, murder was on her mind. Yvonne knew Gregory's routine and the layout of his home. She knew he would always keep his front door unlocked, just in case of an emergency, so his carers could gain access to the property quickly. Yvonne also knew he would always keep £500 cash in his pyjama pocket, just in case he needed something. Motivated by greed, she needed a plan. In the couple of days that followed, Yvonne turned to someone she could trust and involved her eldest son, Lance Rudge, aged just 19. She asked if he knew anyone that would be willing to participate in the killing by offering a fee of £8,000. Lance knew his friend, Shane Edge, also aged 19, would help him. She would be the driving force behind this malicious plan. Yvonne met with the two young men and went through the plan in detail: how to get in, which room Gregory would be sleeping in, and where his cash would be kept. On the 15th of June 2007, Yvonne drove her blue Citroen Saxo, accompanied by her son Lance and his friend Shane, to the quiet, sleepy village of Alton. She parked up on the edge of the village, and the two killers walked down the road into Gregory's house, where they let themselves in through the front door and quietly crept upstairs. They opened the bedroom door where Gregory was sleeping and placed a pillow over his head, where they sat on him until he was asphyxiated. As Gregory's lifeless body lay on the bed, Lance took the pillow, then reached his hand into Gregory's pyjama pocket and took the £500 cash. After committing the crime, the two young men returned to Yvonne's car and the blue Citroen Saxo slowly drove out of Alton. It's when Yvonne got back home that she told them both to strip down to their underwear, taking their shoes, their t-shirts and the pillow. After dropping the men off at Shane's house, she returned back to her home in Mere. She then went into her garden and burnt all the items on the patio, thinking that this way there would be no evidence to link her to the crime. The following morning, the carers arrived and discovered the dead body of Gregory Baker in bed. They automatically thought that he'd passed away in his sleep and had died of natural causes. The doctor and the police were called because of the sudden death. The carers explained how and when that they had left him the night before to the morning that they found him, but police were soon tipped off as the carers noticed his pillow and the £500 cash was missing. The police started to suspect that this was not a straightforward death, but something more sinister. The only person who needed to break in and kill Gregory was someone who stood to benefit from his death. Detectives were called and Gregory's death was classed as murder. Police quickly identified Yvonne Purchase as a suspect. Detectives went to see Yvonne at her home. When they arrived and broke the news to Yvonne, she didn't seem to be upset to be told how her friend had passed away. In fact, she seemed cold and hard-faced. The detectives wanted to have a look around the property and came across a fire-stained patio. When asked, Yvonne said that it was from a barbecue she'd had a few days earlier. Things just didn't seem right, so they took her in for questioning. Yvonne had tried to throw them off the scent by saying she was at home all night. But when special forensic officers attended Yvonne's garden, they recovered burnt duck feathers from the pillow which had been used as a murder weapon. During questioning, detectives asked Yvonne why her mobile phone data had been linked to the area of Alton on the 16th of June. To which her reply was that her son had borrowed her car that night to go and buy drugs. She'd left her phone in the car and her son posted it through her letterbox when he dropped the car off. The police knew Yvonne was lying as the hours of CCTV captured a blonde female driving a blue Citroen Saxo on the A50 road towards Alton. But this wasn't enough to charge her. The police needed more. The forensic team collected what feathers they could from Yvonne's garden, and feathers were taken from one of Gregory's pillows. They were a perfect match. During the course of the investigation, a member of the public found a jumper in their garden, not far from Gregory's home. DNA swabs concluded it belonged to Gregory, but also had the DNA of someone else. Detective Chief Inspector Ken Raper knew that she'd been part of the crime, also acknowledging the fact that she didn't act alone. So he ordered his team to bring her son, Lance Rudge, in for questioning and to provide a DNA sample to eliminate him from their inquiries. But in fact, Lance's DNA was all over Gregory's jumper that was found in the garden. Lance was arrested. He told officers that it was him and his friend, Shane Edge, that had committed the murder and used the excuse it was for money reasons. When Shane Edge was questioned, he told officers it was Lance's mum, Yvonne's idea, and that she had offered them £8,000 each if they killed Gregory, but she insisted that they were to make his death look like he'd passed away peacefully in his sleep. All three were charged with the murder of Gregory Baker. During their 1-month murder trial, it turned out that this wasn't the first time Yvonne had tried to get her hands on someone else's money. Her ex-boyfriend, Kelvin Amos, told the court that when they had shared a house together in 2003, she'd asked her friend Susan if she knew anyone that would kill her then-partner, Mr. Amos, so she could pocket his life insurance. The couple were in a dispute over her share of the house. The judge sentenced Yvonne to serve a minimum term of 30 years in prison for planning and orchestrating the crime. Lance Rudge and Shane Edge were ordered to serve a minimum term of 18 to 20 years respectively for the murder of Mr. Gregory Baker. All three blamed each other for the killing and failed to show any emotion as Mr. Justice Saunders told each one of them how long they would have to spend behind bars before being considered for parole. While the three convicted killers served their time, friends of Gregory remember him fondly. Close friend Andrea said, "My heart is crying for justice for Gregory, for all the injustice that had gone on and the manipulation that had gone on against his generosity and kindness. He would have forgiven Yvonne. We know he would have forgiven Yvonne." Gregory Baker's funeral took place on Friday the 27th of July 2007 at St John's Roman Catholic Church in Alton, followed by interment into the churchyard. In 2009, Thelma Yvonne Purchase launched an appeal to get her 30-year jail term reduced. She argued it was unfair for her to spend so long in prison when the two men who were also involved received only 18 to 20 years minimum. But the Court of Appeal judges ruled she richly deserved the sentence and she remains in prison to this day.
So that was the sad story of Gregory, who was so taken advantage of unnecessarily. And we've arrived at his graveside now. So a lot of the stone is in Latin, which I'm not even going to prepare to read. But if we just read the very basic, it reads, Gregory Baker, June 16, 2007, aged 61 years. Oh, God bless you, Greg. So if you have found today's murder story interesting, don't forget to subscribe, drop me a like, and feel free to comment. Until next time, take care, stay safe. Bye for now.